I started my trip in Windhoek, an affluent city with no shortage of historic buildings and luxurious modern mansions alike. Located in the center of Namibia, Windhoek is doubtlessly one of the cleanest and most pleasant cities in Africa. Despite having just over 300,000 inhabitants, this is the largest city of the world's second most sparsely populated country. The German Lutheran Church is Windhoek's most famous landmark, built in the early 1900s by German colonists. The interior is simple yet elegant. Just beside the church is the Museum of Independence, a weird-looking building commemorating the nation's independence from Germany and South Africa. Besides this is the Old Fort, which is the first building built by the Germans in Namibia. Nearby, this is Namibia's Parliament, which also includes the beautiful Parliament Gardens. Sitting atop a bare hill is the ultra-modern Presidential Palace. However, not all of Windhoek is as wealthy as it seems. In fact, over 2/3 of the population live in much less desirable conditions. This is, of course, the infamous Katutura Township. This neighborhood is one of Africa's iconically notorious shantytowns, where residents make a living by operating small businesses. Surprisingly, Katutura is home to a large Chinese community, with its own Chinatown filled with Chinese shops and restaurants. The historic Hotel Heinetzberg offers a spectacular view of the city's skyline. Next morning, I took a charter flight north from the Eros Airport, flying over the capital city of Windhoek, through the desert, and passing the Waterberg Plateau. I have arrived in Namibia's most visited attraction, the Etosha National Park, where tourists flock from all over the world in search of its abundant wildlife. The animals here are congregated around its numerous waterholes, which is the only source of water in this dry environment. A significant area is taken up by the Etosha pan, an enormous salt pan which fills up with water and flamingos in the wet season. From my camp just outside the park, I drove into Etosha and headed straight for the waterholes. This scene took my breath away. Birds and mammals of all shapes and sizes were scattered around the waterhole, most commonly elephants, giraffes, zebras, and the guinea fowl bird. I even saw a hyena drinking from the water. how whenever the elephant comes to the waterhole, the other animals would all run away and make way for the elephant. This is the hierarchy of nature. There were also plenty of small animals, such as this bunch of cute mongooses hanging around one of the lodges. After 2 unforgettable days in Etosha, I hopped on another plane, this time heading southwest towards the coast. I loved the views of Spitzkop, a group of mountains nicknamed the Matterhorn of Africa, rising majestically from the desert. My next destination is Swakopmund, a German colonial town full of character and bordered by gorgeous sand dunes and the Atlantic Ocean. German culture flourishes here, with plenty of restaurants serving authentic German cuisine as well as great seafood, and a large community of European descendants calling this town home. Everywhere I look, I'm constantly in disbelief that this is in Africa. Swakopmund was first founded by the Germans in the early 1900s, who have constructed a handful of handsome buildings with flawless German architecture. Don't forget to walk the old jetty at sunset, the perfect way to end your rewarding day. Along the coast, there are brilliant mansions built on expansive grounds. This indicates the town's popularity among the Namibian upper class, and also the country's wide gap between the rich and the poor. The opulent residences are brutally contrasted with the township nearby, where residents from all corners of the country live in awful conditions. Similar to Katutura, people here open small businesses, providing anything from haircuts to fresh meat. The next day, I drove the scenic route to a neighboring town called Walvis Bay. This area is known for its lakes and lagoons, where the world's largest colony of flamingos can be found, and lots of other birds as well. The red color of this lake is caused by microorganisms living inside, which flamingos then eat and become reddish themselves. I went on an incredible seal watching kayak trip. The seals, who are extremely playful and adorable, live in large colonies on the beach. It was enjoyable watching the seals roll around in the sea and try to get onto my kayak. In the afternoon, I continued south into the Namib-Naukluft Park, where I visited the Sandwich Harbor. This is a stunning landscape, with 100-meter tall sand dunes dipping right into the ocean. The most magnificent sight was the panoramic view of the delta from the top of a gigantic sand dune. I flew southeast, over the town of Swakopmund, and entered the otherworldly realm of the Namib Desert. This is truly a sight to behold, with aesthetically perfect sand formations, mountains resembling those found in fantasy stories, herds of zebras traveling across the plains, and breathtakingly surreal canyons with a beautiful river of trees. I flew over Sossusvlei, where the world's largest sand dune is located, and the dead trees of Deadvlei. In Namib Nature Reserve, a scenic mountainous area besides the national park. Although lacking those towering sand dunes found in Sossusvlei, the mountains which border the desert plains here make this one of the prettiest and rather off the beaten track parts of the Namib Desert. There are several upmarket lodges here, one of which is the widen Dune Camp, where I will base myself for the next 2 days. Plenty of oryxes can be found roaming in the desert and drinking from the nearby waterholes. During my stay here, I went on a jeep safari, admiring Mother Nature's artwork from different angles. I also took a walk with an indigenous tribe called the Bushmen, who showed me hidden gems such as the variety of plants, the dung beetles, the dancing white lady spiders and their unique nests with doors, and their traditional way of making a fire. I went to the Wawadan's village and discovered how water was taken from underground and pumped to the camps. I saw the staff quarters and the factories where they make their own furniture for the camps. I was fascinated at how they creatively filled bottles with sand and constructed buildings with it. The wastewater, after being slightly purified, is then used to water the plants in their very own garden, providing camps with vegetables, while leftover food is eaten by the pigs. On my final day in Namibia, I went horse riding over the sand dunes. The morning sun gave the sand a brilliant orange glow. Finally, I flew back to Windhoek, where I continued on to Victoria Falls. Namibia is a naturally and culturally diverse country, with some of the best landscapes and towns you'll find anywhere on Earth. I have truly enjoyed my trip in this marvelous country, and I can't wait to explore more of it in the future.